Hey y'all, it's Ryan, and today I wanted to give you an overview of psychoneuroimmunology and emphasize the kinds of really cool questions that you can ask in this field. You can think of psychoneuroimmunology as a branch of health psychology where we're often interested in linking psychological phenomena with the biological mechanisms that lead to differing health outcomes, so differences in mortality rates or disease susceptibility. These studies can inform organizational leaders, public policy, public health campaigns, and become the foundation for important interventions across many different domains. There have been questions around the mind-body connection really for thousands of years, but the field of psychoneuroimmunology itself is much newer, since about the 1970s. But I want to tell you briefly about one important finding from this field that I think about a lot. Okay, so we often talk about how stress can make you sick, or some variant on that phrase. But importantly, your past experiences of stress or infection can also influence your immune system's response to stress. So first, what does sickness actually look like? We often talk about T cells and B cells and other forms of adaptive immunity, but before adaptive immunity, where our body has some memory of how to defend against a pathogen, we also have a nonspecific immune response, which is mediated by proinflammatory cytokines. So take, for example, when you have an infection, you get a fever, you feel fatigued, you have aches, numbness, and a reduced appetite, right? You probably want to stay in bed and not engage socially as well. So these are some examples of the kinds of symptoms that occur when you have that first non-specific immune response, which again is the body's general response to the message that, hey, something is not right here. We might not know what yet, but there may be an invader. So pro-inflammatory cytokines are a critical part of this response, and there's good evidence that they actually cause this response. So a logical next question then is, how do we know that cytokines may cause this nonspecific illness response? Well, when you inject mice with a toxin, which reliably causes them to produce pro-inflammatory cytokines, mice develop these same symptoms. Conversely, if you then inject mice with a cytokine antagonist, which just means that it disrupts the production of cytokines, then that response will reduce or stop. So these are just some of the studies around this topic. Overall, this means that the nonspecific symptoms of fever, reduced appetite, fatigue, social withdrawal, etc. are heavily influenced and likely even caused by peripheral pro-inflammatory cytokine production. So Dr. Dancer at MD Anderson has done a lot of important work around these questions and how peripheral cytokine production is then translated neurally. So importantly, this sickness behavior response is adaptive. So think about it as being this appropriate response to an infection, similar to how fear is an appropriate response to a predator. The only problems come when we start to have a sickness response when there isn't an infection or a predator to defend against. If you're like me, this might be hard to wrap your mind around, right? But it has huge implications because these symptoms sound a lot like the symptoms of depression, right? That's because there's massive overlap in how our immune systems respond when infected with a pathogen and when dealing with clinical depression. So Dr. Dancer investigates how sustained peripheral immune responses, that is inflammation, can lead to clinical depression and also begin to explain why people with chronic inflammatory conditions like cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes so often experience comorbid clinical depression. So these are some of the kinds of questions we ask in psychoneuroimmunology and that you can ask too. Overall, I hope you can see how new these questions are and how new our understanding is, which is really fun as a young scientist. And honestly, sickness behaviors are so interesting to me that I'll probably do a follow-up video with more information, so stay tuned for that. We also ask questions about the social and developmental reasons why some people are more likely to become sick when exposed to a virus. So Dr. Sheldon Cohen has done incredible work demonstrating how early life stress can help explain why some people are more susceptible to becoming sick when exposed to a virus, like the common cold, than others. I'm doing my PhD focusing on learning as much about this field as possible, in addition to learning more about industrial and organizational psychology, which is a field that I think really benefits from work at the intersection of work and health, right? So there are some people already doing really excellent work near this intersection. So for example, Dr. Alicia Grandey does such cool work studying emotional labor, or how managing one's emotions as a required part of their job. So think people in customer service positions can affect both your job performance, but also your health. Those are a few questions, but what kinds of questions are most interesting to you? What would you want to be studying? And what questions do you see that are unanswered, or that maybe we don't have a full enough picture yet? Tell me in the comments. I definitely can't wait to hear. All right, y'all, that's all for today. Thanks for stopping by, and please share with your friends and subscribe to support my channel.